Alright, welcome to the first tutorial from Angmar Motorsports. Today we're going to be doing extended wheel studs from ARP. We got these from JRP just outside of Toronto, since we're not too far from them. They're awesome and they help us out quite a bit. So let's get started. Well, you'll need to do this. Hammer to get the old ones out. Spacer and an old lug to pull the new ones in. And an impact to do the work. So the first thing to do will be to get the old ones out. We're going to use a lug, protect them. We'll have spares. Who knows when someone might need one or we might need one. And of course you're just going to thread that on. Give it a couple whacks with a big hammer. So we got our first one free. Now you just got to do the other ones. So next will be to start pulling the new ones through. It can be tricky to get these through because it'll bind on the backing plate. So you can either tap this out of the way here, or you can squeeze it in through here. Kind of just got to pick your poison. So you could go ahead and pull that one through now, or you could put the rest of them in. Doesn't really matter the order. So now you're ready to pull the new ones through. What you're going to need is a spacer. We're using an old socket. And of course an old lug. I find it worked better to put the lug on backwards, and we did have to take the caps off these ones. You could just find a nut that already passes through, but this is what we had. So you'll know when it bottoms out, the gun will make a distinctive noise of not turning anymore, and you can see when the back of it sits flush. So as you can see, we're all done. Next will be to do the rears. Just a couple notes on why you would do this. Of course, for strength, you don't want a wheel shearing off if you're on the track. Can't put a price on safety there. Also, if you're running aftermarket wheels, they might be a bit thicker than a factory wheel, meaning less is showing on your factory studs. And in our case, we are getting a big brake kit, which you'll see in a future video. So the brake hat may be a bit thicker than factory. Of course, you will need nuts to thread all the way onto these, but depending on the thickness of everything, you'll need it to pass through potentially. So here we are at the rear. Got the fronts done, and the rear ones are in fact different. You can see they say Miata rear, and they have this little flat spot. That's very important because without that flat spot, they would not clear the hub. And it does make it a lot easier to get them past the backing plate. On the rears, the backing plate is a bit more of an issue, so you will need to bend the smallest part of the lip out of the way. So with that out of the way, you can now do the exact same process as the fronts with the big hammer. And just be sure you line it up with that flat spot before, or it will get jammed up. So then when you take that one, you'll obviously line the flat spot up towards the center of the hub. So if the backing plate's out of the way enough, you should just slide right on in. And you'll see when you're pulling it outwards from the car, you can feel that you can only turn it that little bit before it starts contacting. So you'll want to make sure you're somewhere in the middle so that you won't have any binding or anything. And that's the placement of the flat spot. So you take your spacer, nut, you can kind of get that finger tight, and you can feel where the flat spot should be. You'll want to ensure that's proper before you go on it with the gun. Oh, that feels pretty good. Now you go for it. Now that it's going on a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and just double check. Everything moves freely. It should be fine. So in the case that it wasn't in the proper spot and you had binding, you would want to just carefully, you put a nut on that and carefully bang it out, same way you would with the factory studs. Just very, very carefully. You don't bend anything or wreck your fancy new parts. It wouldn't be the end of the world, but that's why you'd want to check before they're fully bottomed out if you're going to have any problems. Alright, so that's it. Front and rear install of the ARP extended wheel studs. Now you just have to put the brakes back together, wheels back on, and test them out. Make sure everything's torqued down to the proper spec, and should be good to go. Thanks for watching. Comment on things we can improve. This is our first video. Won't be our last though, so make sure you subscribe to us and share, like, whatever you guys do. Thanks.
Just a quick tip after doing the extended hardened studs, assemble everything, the brakes and everything, torque the wheels to the proper spec. In our case for the 01 Miata, it's 100 foot-pounds. Take the car for a quick little scoot, then come back and just recheck the torque in case something had to seat or anything. It's always a wise idea. And thanks for watching.